Auntie Zarna here. So excited to have you join us for the Zarna Garg family podcast. We have a full house. All 5 Gargs are in the house. And this riveting episode is about interracial relationships. All our children are in various stages of dating, not dating, meeting people. Even our youngest I have been snooping around and there has been stuff going on there. Even my 12-year-old. So let's get right into it. All 5 Gargs are in the house, and this riveting episode is about interracial relationships. All our children are in various stages of dating, not dating, meeting people. Even our youngest I have been snooping around and there has been stuff going on there. Even my 12-year-old. So let's get right into it. All 5 Gargs are in the house. First up, we have my daughter who's a junior in college, Zoya. My son who's a senior in high school, Bridge. My 12-year-old who is in middle school, Veer. And my husband of 25 years, Shalab Garg. And of course, I make a lot of jokes about how I want my kids to meet and date Indian people. But why should anybody listen to anything I have to say? So tell me, guys, all 3 kids, I'm asking you right now, when you go out and think of who to date, do you immediately think this person must be Indian, or it's not on your top 3 things to think about?
Can I get Zoya started to start
Why?
with? I have to say that, Zoya, your dating history, I have to say that it's hard not to take it personally. Because all your dating history is with boys that are not Indian. And when I read about it on the web, it says that daughters tend to date guys who they learn should or should not be like their dads. So it's hard for me to think that you're not dating Indian boys because you somehow reject how you've seen me to be as a husband to your mother.
Okay,
Because you've never dated an Indian boy ever.
First of all, I would say that that's more a product of my environment than it was a product of me not being interested in Indian guys. I am only 21 years old, so I am still meeting people. But I
you've
did
been dating
grow up.
since 17. You've been dating for 4 years.
I was dating out of a pool that was more predominantly white than it was predominantly Indian.
So in Upper East Side, Manhattan, there was not enough Indian boys.
Yes.
Is what you would have us believe.
Yes.
But Shalab, I don't know why you're so confused, because you yourself don't present as an Indian man half the time.
What?
Half the time. Everything you like is not Indian. You don't like doing anything Indian. The joke is that the Mayflower took a left turn, picked you up first, and then came to America.
I think you're deviating the topic a little bit, and Zoya did not directly answer the question I asked. That if it is a function of her disapproving what she has observed, especially in the first 15 years as she was growing up, and she saw me not helping out. And
I do think it's an interesting question, right? I do think that growing up in America, the gender roles are different, right? I was taught from an early age that I should be allowed the same privileges that men are allowed to have. That is the American understanding of how relationships work. And when I look for qualities in a partner, I certainly look for if the guy is going to hold their weight too. But that's not in direct relation to your relationship with mom, where I'm looking at you guys and I'm thinking, oh, I don't want an Indian guy because my dad. That's not been it at all, I don't think.
Even your psychiatrist doesn't say that?
Well, I don't work with my therapist anymore, so.
Oh, when did that happen? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was probably because I got so much heat about it for so many months. Isn't that so crazy how that affects people?
Bridge, same applies to you. You always seem to be attracted to non-Indian girls. Are you saying also there's not enough Indian girls on the Upper East Side for you to at least give it a shot?
I mean, personally, I feel like I've met a bunch of Indian women. Definitely not nearly as much as white women or any other race, honestly. But I just think the major issue is with Indian women, because I'm talking about Indian women. First of all, I don't discriminate. I'm not going to choose one race or the other. I'm not going to say, oh, this girl's Indian, I'm not going to date her. This girl's white, I'm not going to date her. Race to me or color of skin just hasn't been a factor in any of my decisions. I just think that what has been a factor is that most of the Indian women I meet just aren't as confident. They're just not as outgoing. They're not likely to approach you and talk to you at maybe a school event or during class. They're more staying to their books and studying. And it's weird to approach people who are just studying and have like a long conversation with them because that's all they want to do. You know, like
So
I'm
you are
more drawn to like
actively
confident women.
resisting talking to the smartest girls. What
didn't
is
say I'm
happening?
actively
Oh
resisting.
my god! How did my life go so wrong?
Mom,
just
you
saying.
can spin anything. He didn't
Yeah.
say that
You
at
said
all.
that the girls who are studying, and that is the girl exactly that you should be with. And instead, you're like talking to the girls who are doing nothing and coming up to you and talking to you.
I'm just saying it's hard to manifest a relationship with someone who just wants to study all day or someone
Right,
who's
you can study together.
Yes.
you want to do other stuff. You want to hang out.
No,
you
I
want to
think
go on
what Bridge
dates.
is saying
Like
is
they're just not confident enough.
he's saying that he hasn't felt that Indian girls put themselves out there in the same way that maybe
White
other
girls do.
ethnicities of girls put themselves out there. And I do think that's a product of how Indian girls are raised, right? I think it's so interesting how for a lot of people, not me, but a lot of my Indian friends in high school, it's don't date anybody, don't speak to a guy, it's forbidden. But then all of a sudden, the girl turns 21 and it's like, why aren't you married yet? Which is wild to me. So I actually do
true.
think Bridge has a point, and I guess Veer agrees.
What did
okay.
we? What did we agree to? I did not.
I said that's so true. I say, like, if they're expected not to date anybody, why do they have to be married by 21? That doesn't make any sense.
Because the parents are crazy.
Nobody is
Exactly.
crazy. First of all, stop with that narrative. It's not true. Second of all, it can all work. I mean, if you don't date anybody and listen to your parents at 21, you can be married. It makes
Is it
sense.
very important for you as parents for us to marry an Indian person?
No, not for me.
Why?
Because I just think you should marry for love.
What? No.
What?
Shut up.
Isn't that against what you said?
You will say anything to be appealing to the kids.
No,
Like,
I mean that. Come on, like seriously, I want them to marry.
No, I agree with you. I don't think the Indian thing is that important, to be honest. In now, having lived here for 30 years in America, I would say Indian is not the most important criteria. The most important criteria, not love, is actually brilliance, is how smart the person is, how driven that person is, what that person wants to do with their life. If they have those things, other things will fall into place.
I don't even think it has to be brilliance. I'm gonna push back on that. I don't think it has to be like some level of like them wanting to be the richest woman alive or them wanting to be.
Brilliant does not necessarily.
So what do you
have-
mean by brilliant?
But you got to put your day to good use. You really have to have some kind
But what
of
does good
passion.
use mean to you? Because what good use to me doesn't necessarily mean. I feel like for you, good use is doing something productive towards making money.
That's me. I agree with you
Yeah.
that money, I mean, yes, money is very, very key. And boy, are you going to live to regret, like, oh, money, whatever, I'll make the money. You will live to regret it because right now you don't know what you're talking
Boy.
about a little bit. But when I say brilliant, I don't necessarily mean about making money. I think people can be brilliant and smart in a million different ways. The thing about intelligence is that when you're with an intelligent person, you have an ally that you're supposed to have for a long time, if not for life. You want to have the confidence that that person has your back. That with all of life's curveballs, you have somebody who can work those out with you and not
That
be
sounds
fully
like
dependent
trust.
on you.
Yeah,
That's
loyalty
like
and trust. That's
trust,
not
not
brilliant.
brilliant.
You can be with a dumb person who trusts you and you trust them, but they just don't know how to do anything.
Yeah,
So
so you're
you
saying
wanna-
someone who can
yeah.
help you
Yeah.
and like go through those problems, have your
Somebody
back
who
and
can
help
work
you.
it out with you, so you help
Yeah.
each other.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it used to be that Indian people, I would be like, okay, an Indian person who is also brilliant, but I've met so many dumb Indians that I've taken the Indian thing out of it now. That, like, just as long as the person is brilliant and wanting to work hard and put their day to good use every day, that's a good place to start. That's also a person that's easy to like and respect. The
I would
person
also
who-
say someone who's not negative. I hate negative people, people who bring you down ahead of anything you may be trying, which may be risky or new. These
Yeah, I agree.
downing people, like
I
they
so
bring you down
agree.
I
all
fully
the time.
agree.
Because think about how lucky your mother was to have someone like me when she was starting out, right? Who was never a downer, or always motivating and inspiring, right? I mean, like, it's easy to look back today and go like, what a great talent. But people forget that talent did not spring out of nowhere. Do you guys agree with that?
I mean, kind of, honestly. Like he
mean,
could
I
have been.
agree.
He could have been someone like a
No,
husband who was just like,
you're
I don't support
absolutely
this.
right,
I'm not
Brent.
helping you.
Actually, in practice, you were so supportive, and you have been so supportive of mom's every endeavor since the very beginning. It's just the way that you said that
Yeah.
that did not feel right.
It
But she
sounded
also
so
helped you, so it was
self-promoting.
like it's an equal.
I would hesitate to call your dad a font of optimism. I just, there are a lot of things we can say for the podcast, but let's just draw the line somewhere with the lies that we're willing to spin to make this episode work. Yes, your dad has been extremely supportive, but I don't think the root of it was his overall general propensity to optimistic, happy, positive outcomes. It was more, him wanting to support me or hear me complain about it for the rest of his life. There were a lot of other calculations that he had to make before he had to decide. Am I going to get into this as a fight with her, or am I just going to support, because it looks like she's going to do it anyway?
There's some truth to that.
I do think there's more to interracial dating than what we've spoken about. I do think one thing that we haven't considered is, now that we all agree, which it seems like we do, that it's actually not necessarily the worst thing to be dating somebody who is not your ethnicity. I do think that there are challenges to be dating somebody from a different background.
Zoya, why go far? Your mother and I are from a different ethnicity. She comes from a very weird caste in India, one that is like really sort of very like small number of people. They eat weird food. They do weird things.
Do you even know what caste it is?
Gujarati, yeah, it's a very like the only
Gujarati is
particular.
not a caste.
It is. Gujarati is an ethnicity. It's a unique
It's an
ethnicity.
Caste, I
Yes.
thought, was before.
Yeah.
And I come from a more sort of, business class that sort of helped the British run businesses in India.
Wait, I actually heard it was the opposite, where like mom married down technically in terms of caste.
No.
Okay.
How do you?
So she said that she was related because she was Gujarati, and all the Gujarati people started Patel brothers in every company in the world, and therefore Gujarati is the best ethnicity within India.
I don't know about that, but I'm just saying. On a more serious note, we come from a different ethnicity, at the very least, different languages. She did not grow up
Indian.
speaking Hindi.
Doesn't interracial mean like
Like
the
you
same?
still celebrate the same holidays. You still
And-
grew up
You're
in
right.
India.
We do celebrate the same holidays.
Was it a big deal that you guys were technically from different ethnicities?
Yes, in those years it was. Her
Yes.
family did not want to get her to get married to me.
No. They still
In fact,
don't
mine was a
think
lot more
like that.
accepting.
I
Your mother accepted you without seeing you.
she had no choice, but yeah, she was more open-minded than anybody else would have been under the circumstances. I did meet his mother on the day of the wedding. It is true, those things are facts. But who said wow?
I said, wow.
I'm telling you right now, that will not work for any of the three of you. Just so before you start having ideas, before you start thinking, oh, well, I can do this. No, you can't. I will fight it tooth and nail. I will be that person who will drop into a wedding and be like, no, we're not ready. Like, do not expect me
That
to
is
be
because
like,
you want. Usually, you call off the wedding because the person is in love with a different person. That's
Yes.
not because you can't call off a wedding just because you call it off.
I can call off a wedding because I can say I have not investigated enough. They may be in love with another person. I don't know yet.
Oh my goodness.
I will basically do anything, and do not count on me being too embarrassed to stop it if you do something. I'm just putting you on notice for that. But your dad and I, we did have, and Shalab, in fairness, being from two different communities has had its impact.
Yes, I agree with you.
There
Yeah.
are
In what way?
issues.
I mean, I've had to adjust a lot. There's no question about it over the years.
That's the impact.
Isn't that what you meant? That I had to accommodate like your sister in Ohio and every one of your family members who doesn't, it's been hard on me.
No, that's not what I meant.
Then what did you mean?
That is not at all what I meant. I meant there has been a lot of impact on both of us, not just you. And we both had, like, we actually didn't quite even manage to blend it at all. We both order in food from outside because we both can't agree on what to eat. We just have completely different taste buds from growing up in two completely different worlds. We have a
She's
different.
vegetarian. Yes, you know
I'm
your mother is
vegetarian.
vegetarian.
You
and
grew up vegetarian, Dad.
Was
I
being
grew up,
vegetarian
but for the
forced on you
last
by like your?
almost my entire adult life, I have had meat, right?
But to me, this is so surface level. Like food, not having the same food.
Yeah.
Don't you guys feel like you? I would say that what's interesting to me about the two of you is because I've obviously studied your guys' marriage in and out and have comments and critiques, of course,
Oh
because
my
I've been
God.
watching.
Okay, that's comforting.
Obviously, I've been paying attention. But it seems like you guys have fundamentally very similar values, right? Like you guys both care
Yeah.
a lot about education, which feels very much Indian to me. You guys both care a lot about working hard, making money, very Indian. I would say that, family seems important to both of you. Maybe it's like, maybe slightly more important to I don't know. It seems like you guys have the same priorities. So even though maybe like food seems dissimilar, I think in interracial dating in America, values actually don't align sometimes
Yeah.
culturally. Which
Like if
I
you
don't
think about it, like
give
if
us
you're an
some
adult,
examples. Give
if
us
you're
some
an adult,
examples.
let's say I'm marrying a Jewish woman, then what happens when we get let's say we're having a wedding? What if she wants to have a Jewish wedding and I want to have an Indian wedding? Like that's a huge divide when it comes to
What
raising
I
the
could
kids.
say to that is just a ceremony. What's the big deal? Just go get married in court if it's such a big deal.
Families get involved. She might not want that. There's so many different things that factor in. Then it
I'm
comes
saying
to food.
that
Like maybe
in
she wants her kids to eat certain like foods, and you want to make your kids eat certain foods, certain values. Maybe on Fridays they want to do something and you don't. Like there's so much different. Like there's actual boundaries between you guys because of culture.
Well, I mean, I will tell you this, that you guys are lucky because your dad and I are the most understanding of anybody we know. And you can feel free to have any ceremony or no ceremony at all because your dad and I genuinely hate weddings, both of us. We prefer not to be
I don't
invited.
hate weddings.
Yeah, why did you
I
say
mean, I would
dad
love to
actually
attend.
likes weddings?
I
hate
want to attend
weddings.
Zoya's and Bridges and Veer's wedding. And
Okay,
you
he's
know,
okay.
give
Thank you,
Zoya
so,
a-
thank you so much,
Okay,
Dad, for
there
attending
you
your
go.
own kid's wedding. Wow, thank you so much. That actually means so
No,
much.
no,
My
no.
own
Like,
dad is going to
not
come to
just
my wedding.
attend, but like the ceremonies and to give you away, and hopefully you never come back after that, and you're independent and
Right.
off our telephone bills and off our insurance. I mean,
See,
I
this
look
is
forward to
getting
all that.
specific. This is getting
Well,
very
I'm going to just say that we are super understanding. So whoever you date, whatever problems may arise will probably come from that side. And
that
that's
is just
another
so
reason.
like ignorant.
Rick, why did you just say so
Because
ignorant? What
that's
did
just
I
not
say?
true. We both know you guys have so many critiques when it comes to you. Even if you get to the point of marriage, it's a big if because you guys grill everyone. Like anyone me and Didi have, or even Veer honestly has ever talked to.
Oh my God.
You've been
that's
so
not even
invested.
everybody. No, I like that. To be honest, I would so much rather have parents, and this is mom in particular, because mom just has very high standards. I think we as a family have a lot to offer. And I do think that
Yes.
I do think that I will defend mom here because I think having extremely high standards is great. But I also think, for example, one thing that I really admire about dad as a parent who's watched us date is dad seems to always have a lot more empathy for shortcomings of another person. Whenever I was having a fight with people who I was considering dating or anything, dad was a lot more forgiving and like see it out. Whereas mom was like one red flag and it was like done, like call it. And I do think that dad has a lot more flexibility and open-mindedness, whereas mom is so cutthroat. But I do appreciate that mom is that way because she's right. Like we have, it's a big deal to, let anybody in our little circle.
I mean, I can see that. Like, I appreciate that she like does her checks, but I just don't think that she treats me like an adult. We talk about this all the time. I don't think you treat me like an adult. I don't think you have the trust for me to be with any sort of woman. And I think that it's like, to me, that's in our 18 years, the biggest fault of like any sort of our relationship. That's the only fault.
What the big Denzel
Really?
Washington.
I didn't know that.
You know what the big Denzel Washington said, and he made so much sense.
What?
He said, "A son, especially the older son, is a mother's last love, and the mother is the son's first love." I thought that was so well put.
Who wrote that line?
I mean, Denzel Washington said that. I mean, you don't know who Denzel Washington is?
I mean,
Did you chat
knows best
GBT that?
definition.
Like I
No, Denzel Washington actually said that.
I don't believe that's a real quote.
I don't know if I want to get parenting advice from a screenwriter who writes like
He's
cheesy
not a
movies.
Denzel Washington is a screenwriter.
You think
He's an
he wrote
actor.
those words? What do
Oh,
you think I
I
do? He wasn't sitting there deeply thinking about his son and mother, and a team of writers wrote those words and gave them to him and said, "Say this."
he was tearing up when he said that.
Oh, okay.
Oh
Well,
my
well,
God,
if he was
man.
tearing up, then you know it's real. Bridge, I need to explain to you something.
Oh
What you are
no.
seeing as distrust is my desire to protect you. There are two ways to go about this. One is to say, he's 18, let him make his mistakes, he will recover from his mistakes himself, which a lot of parents will say is the right way to parent. And then there is a way of saying, he's 18, he is an adult, but let me protect him a little more for a little bit longer, because unfortunately, where we are in the state of the world that we're in right now, raising a boy is far more complicated, for me at least, than raising a girl. With Zoya, I worry less, because if she makes some dumb, stupid mistake in college or in life, she can control her body and any outcome of that mistake.
Can you
In
define
your-
this more explicitly? Because I just feel like you need to say it.
Okay, let's say you get pregnant by mistake because you had a situation with a boy that you weren't anticipating and whatever. You have all the rights to control your body and make the decision what you want to do with it. And rightfully so. So I don't have a disagreement with the rights. Absolutely, it should be the girls' rights. But in case of Bridge and Veer, if you make a mistake as a 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old, 25-year-old, and
25.
you wake up
I
one
made
day
that
and
mistake at 25 by
you
having
didn't make a
Zoya.
mistake. We were married, Shalab.
What?
What?
You just
No, I'm just saying that we had Zoya at that age.
Yeah,
How
but
can it
we
be a
were,
mistake at
what's
25?
completely
but we
different.
were married. If Bridge is married
my
at
God.
21,
Oh,
he
I
can do
see.
what he wants. But he may not be married. He may just have a relationship for 6 months or 6 days or whatever. In that case, if you're in a situation where a girl is pregnant and you're responsible, I cannot stress to you how much you will have no control over the matter. You cannot at that point say, I didn't mean it, I wasn't planning for it, we agreed. You and her may even have agreed on something or not. You cannot control that outcome. And because I worry about you so much, I step in. Believe me, Bridge, when I say this, I would so much rather not spend a single one of my brain cells worrying about you or Veer. I would so much rather feel. It's not that I don't trust, it's because I know where the world is right now that I protect you guys.
Scary dog.
Okay. And what I
Got
always say
protected.
in response to that is, I've proven time and time again and throughout life, and I'm old enough that you should trust that I wouldn't get a girl pregnant. I mean, it's not like that's a sure thing. There's ways to avoid it. Like the world has also moved on to where they've invented things like condoms and other like birth control and other things that make it so that you can be safe and practice like having safe whatever.
Have you
Yes,
seen
and-
Friends episode where they come up with how condoms are only 98.9% effective?
So I
Did you see that
understand that.
episode?
Yeah, I
Ross.
get it. I get it. They're not 100%, but that's why there's even other things like birth control. There's so many other things to.
But the other
practice
things and the
safely.
girls control, to
You're
be
not
fair.
exactly. No one is denying that, and you will be on your path to having your own relationships with people. No one is denying that. But 90% of the options are in the girl's control, and that is right. I don't actually disagree with that. I'm just saying that you have to, in your mind, be ready for that level of responsibility. Sex is a very, very, aside from it being complicated and intimate and all that, comes with a lot and lot of responsibility that people right now just don't understand. And I don't want to put you out into the world without knowing the full ramifications of what road you're going down. That's it. I mean, I'm telling you right now, we're on this podcast, millions of people are going to watch this. If you say to me, Mom, I've got this, I don't want you to worry about me, I will back off right now.
What do you mean by worry about me?
But like, you will then receive no worry from me, no bother from me, and also along with that, no protection from me.
Are you talking about in regards to women or regards to everything?
Mom,
Because that would be.
this is so
Yeah, it's like really
unreasonable.
putting him on the spot,
You're
Zarna.
you're
Like,
being
I would never do
reasonable.
that.
Okay, well,
Okay,
Oh my God.
oh my God, I don't even know what is going on
You
with you.
just like seriously,
Yeah, what-
you
what's
didn't do
happening there?
anything.
No,
No,
I'm
I'm
you're
not.
being unreasonable. You are.
Are
Being
you saying?
unreasonable.
Are you saying in regards to everything, like in
No,
terms of
just the
life?
dating. Because if you feel I'm being too intrusive, I'm happy to back off. If you truly
I'm
believe,
telling you, I do not
Yeah.
think you need to worry about my dating life at all. That's what I'm telling you. I'll say that live, and I've said that multiple times. I think when I'm ready to have a girl be introduced to you, that's a very important to me. I obviously want you to check her and pass your judgment on, but I don't think you ever need to be worrying about like, oh, what was happening between me and a girl. I don't think that's something that you need to worry about. But I've been very open about that.
See, this was a test and you failed it.
More
This
tests.
was obviously a test that you failed.
You don't know what to say.
And I knew that this is why you are not prepared. This is why you are not prepared for the real world, because clearly there was a right answer and you literally walked right into the trap. You just open the door and have the lion eat your head off. Why don't you while you're at it? I mean, see, you can't blame me for watching out for you. You're so naive. You literally fall for the dumbest thing.
Okay. Well, regardless, let's get back to interracial. Let's get back to interracial dating.
Yes.
Okay. So
Bridge,
you both,
so you
mom
tell
and
me.
dad,
Yes.
yeah. What's your question?
But no, you ask your question.
So both of you guys have now said and agreed that you do not care whether we marry someone Indian or not, even though there's a possibility that all three, me, Veer, and Didi, will not marry Indian. That means that, yeah.
No, hold on. Before you are running off with the headline, it does not have to be an Indian person, but it has to be a person very, very aligned with Indian values.
Yeah, okay.
That person has to believe in education. That person has to work hard. That person has to want to achieve big things and many things for themselves and for the family.
But race is not the factor.
Race is not the factor.
Wait, but I actually think Mom's making a good point. It has to be basically an Indian person. Doesn't matter what the skin tone is. That is what she's saying.
Okay. Well, yes, that's fine.
Zoya.
But do you worry ever that like
know-
your grandchildren and your great grandchildren might not be like Indian at all? Like they might be half
That's a
Indian.
good question.
Like
No, I
half
don't
Indian
worry
and
about-
quarter.
No, I don't
Like,
worry
you're losing
about
the
them
culture
being
then.
Indian. I worry about them being dumb. I worry
So you're
about them
basically
being
just saying if they're
stupid.
not Indian, then
I
they're dumb.
worry
I feel like she's
about them
building an
being-
Indian person up without saying Indian.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. It has to be an Indian person. Can be any color of Indian. It could be a purple Indian
No,
person.
like
It could be a
suddenly
blue Indian person.
I do not want grandkids who are suddenly going to be like, we're going to sail the world. No, we are sailing no world.
What? That
Everybody
has nothing
sit
to
down.
do with.
No,
You
because
can't
this
control that.
This
You
is a
cannot
problem.
control
This
that.
is a
I
conflict
really
of
think
values.
that your mother is manipulating the three of you into marrying Indian
You're
spouses.
trying to make yourself. You're
This is
just
like-
No, wait. Dad has been on this theory since I was 17. Dad has
She
literally
let you
been on
date
this
non-Indian
theory.
boys because she knew that the first couple of relationships were doomed anyway because they're
No.
young high school relationships.
You
So
know
might as
what,
well be.
Dad? You might be onto something because
No.
she does think 10 years ahead. So I do think you're onto something.
That is
And
not
now I remember you dating an Indian boy, or at least going out on a coffee with an Indian boy just a few weeks ago, right? Or a few
Yeah,
months ago.
I did.
And how did it go? It was great, right? It was great.
It was good. I mean, I think one thing that is certainly true, and I'm still young, so I admit that I don't have as much experience as I possibly can. But from what my experience dating, there are cultural differences when you date somebody outside of your race. It is clearly true that you can get around that with the right person. And I've seen so many relationships succeed in that way. But I myself have not succeeded. And it seems to me that the easiest way to get around that is to date somebody who's at least from a similar background from you, as you. Like, for example, we just did an episode on public schools versus private schools. A part of me wonders if I want to be with somebody who's been at public school at least a little bit in their life. Like, that might sound silly, but I've dated people that have only gone to private school their whole lives, and they come across, or the experience I had was, okay, they're a little bit more entitled than what I'm used to, right? And so maybe that's like a factor in consider. I don't know if that makes sense,
Okay,
but
and
anyways.
I have a
yeah.
question. This is my last question. Just because I feel like there's so many families who can really relate. From me, Didi, and Veer's perspective, if we were to marry white or even date white, honestly, we're kind of the first three people in our entire nuclear or huge family, like people,
Yeah.
cousins, relatives, everyone,
Yes.
to do that. Like, we're the first people in our bloodline, both mom's side and dad's side, to like touch a white person, which is crazy. So like, do you think, I feel a lot of pressure, honestly, from the rest of our family outside of this immediate family to marry Indian. I'm going to be honest. Like, I feel like I would
that
be
too,
looked at.
Bridge.
definitely different within my entire like family, both dad and mom side, if I weren't marrying Indian.
I feel the
Yeah, but
exact same way.
It makes sense because I'm telling you that when you bring somebody in from another culture, white or whatever color, whatever race, I have seen from my friends who are in an interracial relationship that the person who is from the family spends so much time trying to integrate this person into the family life for years and years, decades even. It's like Indian people do this, Indian people do that. The shorthand that you have with other Indian people just because we share a culture goes away. And then everywhere you go, you're teaching them about the food, you're teaching them about the
But love
music.
makes it worth it.
Oh, okay. Shut up. Why
No
don't you go
comment.
support
That's such
it?
a
Go
Disney
run
quote.
I mean, no
Go
point, because
running
the
and
minute I say
support her.
something, you will be like, I'm trying to get points from the viewers, which is not true. I'm just being my natural self.
Do you think that
And I'm
that
saying that I
pressure?
agree with that.
Do you think that pressure that me, Didi, and Veer feel, or I don't know if Veer feels it, I definitely feel it, and Didi said she feels it. Do you think that pressure is like warranted? Do you think that we should factor that pressure into like our decisions?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
See, she is. She is. Like,
Rich, that was your test.
she
and
wanted.
won.
She failed. The answer was supposed to be no.
Yeah,
No, the
your
answer was not supposed to be no.
You cannot say, oh, we don't mind if you don't marry somebody who's Indian, and then say, actually, the pressure is very much warranted. Consider it very heavily, and you flopped Bridget's test.
Okay, Zoya, you two just try to like bring me down together, and I'm not gonna let it happen. Here's the thing: the pressure is warranted because I'll tell you why, and that's what I told Zoya too when she was dating somebody not Indian. At the very least, if you don't fully explore the idea of being with somebody Indian, I promise you this that no matter how happy you are or are not with somebody non Indian in life, you will wonder if you made a mistake. You, at the very least, owe it to yourself, not to me, not to your dad, nothing to your grandparents. You owe it to yourself to fully explore what it would be like if you were with an Indian person. Now, after exploring it and giving it a full valuation and evaluation, you can say it's just not for me. You can say that. But if you don't, at the very least, do that at the outset, you will, at the back of your mind, always be thinking, would it have been easier if I was with an Indian person? There's no way you're not going to think that.
I think that's a fair point.
For that reason, I'm always like, that pressure is good because it's going to force you to consider it seriously. Because discounting culture in the role of a relationship and in the role of making a family is a mistake that many, many young people make. They think nothing matters. They think as long as they're happy, everything is going to work itself out. And that's just not how life works. Even when you're happy, marriage and making a relationship work is a lot of work.
Wait, I learned a quote recently, not to be so like dad, it's not a movie quote, but somebody said to me recently, a rom-com is only 2 hours long.
Yes.
And I feel like that's such a Zarna Garg quote. As
Yes.
I mean,
What does that
not
even
the Korean rom-coms. They are 16 episodes long. They last about 20 hours, and they are so romantic.
I don't even know what he's
I don't
talking
even
about.
know what you're talking about. No, but the idea is that, and I think we can close on this, but essentially, like, a relationship is so much bigger than just the, fantasy falling in love, American version of love. It's so much more practical. And I do think that even I discount how practical we have to be when it comes to relationships because I so totally buy into this American idealized version of love. And I do think that mom brings up a really important point.
Thank you, as I always do, I might add.
Okay, right. So,
But
yeah.
yes. So, okay. So this has been our topic, our episode on interracial relationships. There is so much to be said. We could do 15 hours on this topic, but we're going to close this episode here because we also want to give you the opportunity to chime in. Please tell us what you think about this topic. Do you have kids dating interracially? Are you in an interracial relationship or marriage? What is your experience? Give us your thoughts in comments. Give us your thoughts in, you are making so much noise with all the movement. I'm sorry. This is what happens that even in the close, I have to yell at my kids. So give us your thoughts, give us your opinions. And as we end every episode with a segment that we like to call Good Grades with Gargs, we go around the room and ask each other who they would assign the A grade to for the winning moment in the episode. It can be entertaining, it can be educational, it can be the moment that makes the episode. So we're going to do this round right now with the five of us, and then I want to hear from you guys who you give the A grade to. Okay?
I'm
All right,
ready.
I'm gonna go first.
Okay, fine.
Hold on. Why are you two fighting to go first?
I love going first. I'm so type A.
Okay, all right, shut up, go.
Go.
All right, I have to give my A grade to Bridge because I thought he was extremely confident when he said that, you don't have to worry about me and my dating. I want you to know the girl that I want, that when he chooses to introduce a girl to you, it'll be a deliberate decision on his part to introduce that girl to you. But until he does that, he wants to be left alone because he's a confident young adult with the right to vote. And,
What?
I'm just saying, constitutionally, he has the right to vote now this year.
Nobody cares about his right to vote, and you're giving him an A for exactly the topic that I'm giving him an F for. If you
Oh my
think
God.
he's just gonna bring some girl to me at some point of his choosing, like you guys have all got. Yeah, if you knew how many eyes I have on each of you every moment of the day, everywhere you go, you would not make such a funny comment.
Oh my gosh. What is that menacing
That was a
laugh?
really
Funny.
scary
That's
laugh.
not
Bring the
funny.
girl to me. That is the funniest thing I heard in a long time.
Why is she laughing like that? Okay, I want to give my A grade to Bridge as well. I thought he
Okay.
brought up an excellent point about that I hadn't even considered this fear. I mean, I have so many fears, and now he just added another one. So thank you for that, Bridge, for being so perceptive. But I think his observation about how actually in our family, there is not a single person in our extended family that is married to a person that is not Indian. And so he's absolutely right that if any of the three of us did that, it would completely transform, I don't know, our family lineage in a pretty, fundamental way. And I'm not going to put that pressure on me because I just can't live with that level of stress. But I do think that Bridge is right, and I am afraid of that as well.
Are you serious that it had not occurred to you that we are an Indian
No, I
family?
didn't. I
yes.
did not occur because actually, I was going through each and every single one of our relatives, and I was like, wait, they're all Indian. Every one of them is. He's right. I didn't even realize that.
Okay, let me just be the first one to give you a news flash. We are an Indian family.
I know, but most families have one outlier. It does put a
No.
lot of pressure. It's like, oh my god, what if
You're
I am
meeting the outlier. Your dad and I are the outliers in our family.
You guys
Just
are not outliers.
my family doesn't even have anybody who's not Gujarati.
Well, that's pretty crazy because that's actually crazy.
That's like
Okay, who wants to go next? Bridge,
I'm
Veer?
going
Who
next.
wants- Okay, Veer, go.
I'm giving my A grade to Didi, which means
Why?
sister in Hindi, if you guys don't know. Because she takes the most heat. I think she brought up a good point that she takes the most heat for who she's dated in the past. And I think that's just an extra layer of pressure because she just doesn't want to get shot down as soon as she tries to introduce somebody.
Yes,
Wait.
because I would like to add to this because I think that a lot of people hide their partners from their parents. I've never hid. I haven't even hid. It's actually a bad thing because I'll start seeing somebody for a day and I'm like, meet my parents. And they're like, wait, what? So I think I have the opposite problem. But yeah, I don't hide who I'm dating from my parents or my brothers. They know everybody who I'm seeing at any given moment.
Because we are completely open-minded and we welcome people
No,
of
I
many
wouldn't say
different- whatever they are into, we welcome them and we are so accepting. What else? What is there to hide? And obviously, the fact that you bring them to us on your first date is proof of that.
I just trust your guys' judgment.
Okay, Bridge. Thank you for that.
I'm gonna give my A grade to Dad. I think that Dad is throughout my life has been very accepting of there's certain things that you wouldn't expect an Indian dad to be accepting of. There's certain things where I was like, oh, if I ask my dad this, I'm 99% sure that he'll respond in this certain way, and I've been incorrect. And it's been like, oh, you were okay with this. Oh, you are okay with this. Oh, you're actually open to that, which I think is really impressive, and it's a big stereotype breaker because you're the one person, one Indian dad, I guess, that I know that's very open to new things, which is impressive.
I agree with that.
Yes, your mother is 1 in a billion. I am 1 in 1.4.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god.
Okay, all right. Well,
Wait, that makes
Where
no
is your
sense. I'm
A grade?
confused.
I know where I stand because nobody gave me an A grade today, which is thank you for that. Because even though I spent my whole life protecting all of you, that was good to know. I think for this episode, the A grade for me goes to Bridge because I do think that he is in a more challenging space. He's navigating a very complex world for boys in general and has so far been extremely responsible, has been extremely, mindful of our feelings. And honestly, the girls that I've seen him hang out with are very good, like good girls who like to study and who like to, you know, live like a healthful, good life.
Bless you.
Thank you,
and
sorry.
and I really appreciate that, Bridge. I really do, because Bridge in particular is, now about to enter college, is entering a phase where kids talk about partying a lot and drinking a lot and this and that. It just doesn't seem to be the kind of thing that he's into, and nor are is his choice of friends. All his friends that I've met so far have been really good, strong kids, and even though that doesn't mean I'm not going to keep an eye on the situation. It is looking very promising, and for that you get an A grade because I know there are temptations around every corner.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very promising.
Yes.
Okay.
So we want to hear from you, our listeners and our viewers, who you give the A grade to. Somebody find something to give me an A grade for, because otherwise, what am I doing with my life? Thank you so much for tuning into our episode of Interracial Relationships. I can't wait to hear from you, and we will see you next time. Everybody say bye.
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 Bye.